Welcome into Feldco Football Recap Live with Tommy Waddle, Olin Kreutz. I'm David Kaplan. Bears 19-13 losers to the Houston Texans on Sunday Night Football. We'll get to our Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, Electric game recap in a minute. OG, what do you think of my new sweatshirt?
You're just about 3 years behind. You're about 3 years behind. When you're cheering, I remember the guy cheering for Roma Doomsday. I remember that guy.
I said to you.
No. We can go pull off the recap live after the draft cap if you want and rewatch it.
I said I love the pick because I don't think Keenan Allen's going to be here next year, but they needed to do more to address their offensive line.
I mean, I'm sure. I don't know. I just don't know why I didn't get a shirt. You know what I mean? Like me and Tom need a shirt too.
Yeah, I need a shirt.
I wanted your opinion first. I had it made today at Obvious Shirts.
So that? I should at least get a penny for everyone sold, right?
You know,
we've been saying that since like 2012.
Yeah, I'm gonna get our guy Joe Johnson to make you guys build your O-line shirt. I invented it. It was my creation. I think it's
after
cool.
A game like we saw Sunday night, where there were 7 sacks, 11 quarterback hits, 36 pressures. Man. I think we deserve, or I think Olin deserves the floor with regard to his presentation for years now, that how you build your team, in his opinion, is you got to build it from the inside out. And can I just give you a inside the division look? And this is Olin inspired, okay? And I was guilty as well because I thought you could draft Rome and also address some of your issues. Mm-hmm. But to Olin's point, the Minnesota Vikings have 2 second-round picks, 2 first-round picks, and a 6th-round pick on their offensive line starting. The Packers have 2 second-rounders, a 3rd-rounder, a 4th-rounder, a 7th-rounder, and they develop their guys as well as anybody in the league. And the Lions have 3 of their own first-rounders. A free agent they signed was a former first-rounder from the Cincinnati Bengals and a 3rd-rounder. So to Olin's point, I think this is the day where you take your hat off to Olin and say, you know what, if you're building the team from the inside out, you know, you got a point.
Olin would have loved the late Jim Finks, who ran the Bears, because when he came in here, he's the only one. Like, you hear a baseball GM, we're going to build through the farm system, and then they start getting free agents. The Bears, we're going to build through build our line through the draft, and then they don't. Jim Finks drafted Dennis Lick, left tackle. Then he took Ted Albrecht from California. Then he took Keith Van Horn, Mark Bortz. He got Jay Hilgenberg, Jimbo Covert. He just kept throwing assets at it, Olin.
What drafted Thayer? Thayer was also part of the USFL draft.
And Thayer.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just, I know. I've been around the NFL long enough to know not to take a victory lap after week 2, right? A lot can change. A lot of things can happen. But you were just worried when you're watching them build the team and pass. We talked about a million times on the guys they passed in the draft, right? They took Brisker instead of Juergens, who's a starting center at Philadelphia now, right? They took Tyreek Stevenson instead of John Michael Schmitz, who's the starting center for the Giants now. They took Velus Jones instead of starting right tackle for the Seahawks, right? It just went on, and you just kept waiting, like, okay, like at some point we need a couple more assets here, either to compete. Like, you guys remember people were shocked, and I was like, I would have took Olu Fashanu, and people were like, but you trained Braxton Jones. And I said, I did. But if you're good enough to play in the NFL, you'll play in the NFL. Right. Like, you should never worry about competition. So that was just the worry. And look, it showed up for 2 weeks, and it doesn't mean they can't fix it. It doesn't mean they can't play better. It just means if you're looking from the outside looking in, you thought you saw this coming if you were an offensive line guy. And we've said many times on our show, man, 2 offensive linemen won't take offensive linemen. It baffled me. I don't know, like, you know, like when you don't have a pass rush,
I think we lost Olin there. We'll get Olin back.
Right in the middle of him, you know, we were tossing. There he is. He's back.
There
I was going to say, right in the middle of the offense, like we were giving Olin the floor to like take a victory lap.
All I'm doing is repeating myself every time we talk, right? So it's just like, look, that was a bad 2 weeks, man. It was a bad 2 weeks. Some of those sacks, look, 2 sacks, Caleb Williams. 1, he ran out of bounds, right, for 0 yards. The other one, he slid early. So those are 2 out of the 5. So you are playing with a rookie quarterback, but you still got to block inside pressure. Darnell Wright got to stop ducking his head every time someone runs at him, because like we talk about a million times on this show, Tom talks about it all the time. Whatever your weakness is, they will find it. And you are on film now that every time someone runs at your inside shoulder, you step back, you duck your head at them. Guess what they're going to do? Jab inside, spin, right? Jab inside, come around you. He's going to have to fix that, guys. We talked about it last year. I said, love his game. He ducks his head a lot on pass pro. Yeah. Someone's going to see it.
In terms of watching that game, Tommy, offensively, Caleb missed on some deep throws that I think he will hit down the road. I don't know that to be gospel. I can't predict the future. Are you at all concerned by what you've seen the first 2 weeks?
I'm not concerned. I mean, look, these were, I think Olin would agree. I mean, in terms of a front, these were 2 really difficult challenges. The Titans present a different challenge. It's more on the interior. But this group has a couple of elite pass rushers on the outside. I don't know how you guys feel about D'Amico Ryans. I love him as a head coach and a defensive game plan type of guy. What my concern would be, Cap, is that ultimately you find your quarterback is finding himself under duress too often, and then his eyes start to come down and he starts to develop some bad habits because he's taken too much abuse. I think some of that will be alleviated by the opponents in the next 2 weeks. You get the Indianapolis Colts. They are without 2 of their best defensive linemen. They're 31st in the league in yards allowed. You can run the football on them. The following week, you get the Los Angeles Rams, who have just been decimated by injuries. They're the 32nd ranked defense. So you're going to catch a breather here, which I think is going to be really important for this group. I would preach patience. I'm not putting my head in the sand, and I'm not telling you there aren't things that need to be addressed. But there's a lot of new here, right? You have a new quarterback playing in a new system with a lot of new weapons, and the offensive coordinator is getting used to different things. You faced, as I said, a couple of really difficult challenges at the line of scrimmage. As I also mentioned, you got to get a breather right here. I just think that we all need to take a deep breath, allow this thing to develop a little bit. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, when it's time to storm the castle, I'll storm the castle with you. I'm not there yet. I need to see, it takes time. And I think that in a lot of ways, guys, we expect, because Caleb is a really good player and because we drafted him first overall, that he was going to go out and do everything that C.J. Stroud did. Maybe C.J. Stroud's the unicorn. Maybe, I watched the film again for a 3rd time today, and he just does some shit that's just uncanny for a kid in his 2nd year. So I guess, not to quote Aaron Rodgers, I would just say for Bears fans at this point, relax. Things need to be addressed. Things need to be adjusted. And things need to be, looked at. But I would still take a deep breath at this moment.
We're going to talk to Bears safety Kevin Byard. He'll join us here on the show at 8:30 tonight. You're watching Feldco Football Recap Live. Olin, if you were in charge of this offensive line unit, what would your message be this week? Would you move guys around and put, as you have said a million times to me on the phone and on the show, put Tevin over on the right side next to Darnell Wright, or would you just keep it as is?
It's always hard after 2 games like that, where everybody wants change and you don't want to panic as an offensive line coach. Now, I will tell you this. I've watched Coach Morgan's game plans now for a few years. I watched him in the preseason, which I thought he had a lot of input when they were running the ball. I think they got to give Coach Morgan more input, to be honest with you. I think they got to ask him what he thinks his guys do well, and should we be doing that more? At 9:55 of the first half, I tweeted this out. They ran downhill behind Darnell Wright, and they let Tevin Jenkins double team with Shelton. Both the D tackles were on the ground. Guys, with the D tackles these guys had, you have to run downhill with them. They are fast defense. They were saying they were playing 2-9 techniques, and we were trying to run outside, right? Our touchdown. They ran like a jet sweep quarterback power. Coach Morgan's not calling that. I don't – look, listen, he's an offensive line guy. He wants to run downhill behind Darnell Wright. Get Caleb under center. and just run downhill a little bit, especially against defense like that. We talk about it all the time. Styles make fights. You have to play against who you're playing against that day. You have to attack what they're weak at. That defense with Darnell Wright, Nate Davis, Coleman Shelton, and Tevin Jenkins and Braxton Jones and Mercedes Lewis, you go downhill. And that play, I think they got like 8 or 9 yards. And they ended up getting a first down. That's the one that quarterback sneaked. And then they ran a shotgun on like 4th and inches. I'm baffled by that. But yes, I would have never moved Tevin. I think we're way past that. I might move him back. I would have to see what's going on in that building. I don't know what certain guys are doing in my culture. I move him back. I make myself a side there. Tevin Jenkins, Darnell Wright, Mercedes Lewis, Cole Kmet. And I say, come stop us, man. Come stop us over here. And then I take pressure off my young quarterback, drop back, turn his back to the defense, show him the ball, make them step up, let him attack him with that arm that he's got. He's got a great arm. I think it's just a little – it doesn't mean you have to do it all the time. It's just a little too cute for me right now. I don't think Coach Morgan has all that much input, even though he's a run game coordinator, in the run game right now. Swift was cutting the ball way too early this week.
Let me ask you this question, too, on top of that, Olin. With that in mind, to me, it looks like DeAndre Swift is a guy that wants to go laterally. Good player. I'm not saying he's not. Would you give Roschon Johnson or Khalil Herbert more carries, hoping that their style of running would fit what you've just described?
Definitely. I definitely go to Khalil Herbert. I don't know what Roschon's health is like, but I definitely go to those two guys and get moving downhill a little bit more, right? To get my young quarterback to 3rd or 5 or less on most downs. Because they started the game, I think he hit that 3rd and 12, and D'Amico said no more. Yeah. No more. Yeah. Man, we are coming after you now. And then it was just live. And I've been in games like that, played against Greg Williams a few times, and every down is a blitz down. They're coming after you. Played against the Giants in the Meadowlands. You guys remember, Cutler had 10 sacks, 9 in the first half. Played against the Seahawks in 2010, 6-7 sacks, right? It's just, I've been in games like this where everything's going downhill. Coordinator keeps throwing the ball. Guys keep getting hit. And eventually, like, everyone has to come together, realize what everyone does well, ask the guys to do what they do. Right now, they are struggling in pass pro, right? They are. But you keep everybody in gun and you keep doing it. And I just can't understand why in a game like that, that's close, your defense is playing lights out. Lights out. It's a close game. We don't have to be in gun all the time.
So as I've tried to tell people, there have been big, heavy interior linemen for many, 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 many years. This is not a new concept.
I got to get a shirt. Yeah. I got to get a shirt, Cat.
He wasn't making that comment last week, Olin, was he?
I was sending pictures all week. You couldn't even see me. The guys are lining up on me. You couldn't even see me behind them.
Tommy, I'm driving to work, and I'm getting pictures. There's Pat Williams. There's Casey Hampton.
Because you said last week.
Later, there's another one. Yeah.
Yeah, because what you said last week about Sweat from the Titans is, he's a brand new guy, the type of guy we don't see often.
Yeah, we don't see, like, Albert Hainsworth didn't even exist. You know what I mean? He didn't even exist.
Correct. So my question is, DeForest Buckner looks like he's not going to be able to go this weekend. He hasn't been ruled out yet, but that is way it looks like it's trending. In terms of him being out of the Colts attack, how much does that affect the Bears' game plan with him not there? And I believe Latu, the rookie, is banged up as well.
Look, I mean, they gave up 261 yards rushing to the Packers last week on 53 carries. Now, the Packers, I think, are better at the line of scrimmage than we are, so they're going to do a better job running. And I think that when Matt LaFleur's got a play sheet in his hand, he's pretty damn good at what he does. Doesn't mean that we can't also commit to running the football. I think that you're catching a bit of a breather. I think this opponent, not to take them lightly, I think it's different than what you faced the last 2 weeks. Take advantage of it. And I think that they should do some of the things that Olin has talked about. Look, let's get going downhill. Let's take some pressure off your quarterback. Let's run the football. Even with Buckner, teams were still having success running the ball at that Colts defense. So, I mean, if they come out and gun and they start throwing it 75% of the time, then I think we really have to have a long conversation.
Olin?
Yeah, I wonder to myself if the Colts former players are on a podcast saying, don't worry about the coach about to get a breather from the two offenses they face, right, with Jacobs and Mixon. But it makes DeForest Buckner is one of the best in the league, right? He's a very good football player. He also grew up in Hawaii, so I know about him well. He plays really good football. He's the kind of 3 technique the Bears would hope Javon Dexter turns into, right? Same body type, 6'7", big guy. But Grover Stewart now, their nose guard's a good player. They have not stopped the run. I can't say I've poured over their film too much as far as the defensive side of the ball, but just by the numbers, Gus Bradley's unit right now is not their run fits, but you got to imagine they're going to load. They just saw what D'Amico did, right? They're going to make Caleb beat him from guess where? From in the pocket. Right, and it'll be loud in Indianapolis again, and the Bears struggled with that silent count. We talked about it on this show. Nate Davis, bunch of false starts between Nate Davis, Darnell Wright, and Mercedes Lewis. They had some trouble with that, but now they're on film doing it with a young quarterback. Hopefully they get better. But yes, you try to run the ball to defense. That seems like they can't stop the run. Play action. Keep yourself in manageable downs. Try to make it easier on your young quarterback. And then when it's time for him to make plays, hopefully he hits the throw to the DeAndre Carter that he missed. Hopefully he hits the throw to Keenan Allen that he missed. Because those guys, those keep the drive going, man. And you never know what happens if you hit that throw. The defense is a little more tired. Now you're running the run plays that you want to run. So if he can make 1 or 2 or 3 more plays, like, let's be honest, the way they built this team, they're skill guys how to help the offensive line. Like, I get worried when people start saying, oh, we got to block the blitz. You don't block a blitz, guys. You beat it. You have to beat the blitz, right? There was the one where everybody's like, well, you got to know who's coming there. They point the middle guys to Mike. That's Caleb's guy, guys. He's got to get the ball out there. He's got to beat the blitz, right? So, like there's a lot that goes on there between communication and getting things organized, but there's someone in the flat who's wide open over there waiting for the throw, right? You gotta watch, saying, okay, we're gonna pick up every blitz, we're gonna block everything, leave tight ends in. No. That's not the way the NFL works, man. It does not work like that.
People don't realize quarterback is also responsible for his own protection. Like, he has to be in charge of protecting himself by making the right decisions and knowing who's got who. And that sometimes that extra defender is his, and you defend it or you attack it by getting that ball out quick. And like you said, you're not blocking the blitz, you're actually attacking it.
All right, it's time for our player of the game, brought to you by aptabt.com, my favorite store in the world. And if you use code Kaplan25, you'll get $25 off a purchase of $150 or more. Just KAPLAN 25. And we're giving it to Nico Collins and Kaimi Fairbairn. Collins, 8 catches, 135 and a touchdown. Fairbairn, 4 field goals, including a 59-yarder after a false start penalty. That would have been good from 65. It was unbelievable to watch this guy drill field goals. It seems like kickers today, guys, those are chip shots for them 50-yarders. Back when Tommy was playing especially, that was a big deal to make a 50-yarder.
Oh, yeah. We would very infrequently, and we had a good kicker in Kevin Butler. Kevin was great. But infrequently would you ever most teams wouldn't even try anything from 52, 53, 54. That's a layup these days. It's amazing what these guys really are capable of doing. And it's not their ability to kick long field goals. It's the accuracy with some of these long field goals. Like, most of these guys are hitting 85%, even from distance. So I really liked watching Nico Collins play too. Like, look, I don't like him, getting the best of a Bears defense, but like, if you admire wide receiver play, that young man's a really solid player.
And that is by the way, the 59-yard field goal by Kaimi Fairbairn. 59 yards is our Illinois Special Olympics Illinois play of the game. And they are just a great, great organization. And when we had a chance to partner with them, we said yes, because when voices tell us you can't or you won't, we simply say, I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Olin, in terms of looking at what the Bears can do this week, at practice time, you get practice tomorrow, you get practice Thursday, you'll do a walk through on Friday. How much do you think that they could tinker with things offensively to try and do what you guys were talking about earlier to get Caleb comfortable quickly in the game?
But it's the NFL, right? They have every concept in. So by concept, I mean they have the inside run game in. They have quick passes in, right? They can go big on people. They have all that stuff. You got to remember now, Cap, these guys show up at 8 in the morning. They're meeting for 4 or 5 hours. It's like they're in school, right? So all these concepts, it's just a matter of what you're calling on the sideline. And give your offensive line, I heard a lot of people talk about how this offensive line maybe lacks toughness. Well, they haven't had a chance to be tough. They haven't had a chance to build culture. I like to think, okay, on 3rd and 1, we're just going to run downhill, man. We don't care who knows. Now, that doesn't mean every down. I'm not a believer in, like, we just run wherever we want. But if you put something on film that just one time that they got to play something else, or you put a little motion, but you're running downhill behind Darnell Wright and Nate Davis, it's like you're giving your guys, like, there was that fight on the sideline, right? I think it was 2nd and 15, and we got to 3rd and 1. And I'm thinking, man, it's a chance, right? Your O-line's pumped up. They went to protect your quarterback. There's fights all over the place. Let's get rolling downhill. Let's turn this into a street fight. Like nothing else has worked. Let's let the O-line, as a play caller, when the line gets into arguments, when they start getting mad, I say, man, let's run behind the big boys. Let's get them going. Let's get them going downhill. Darnell Wright jumped on somebody on the sideline. Somebody got punched in the face for no reason. Just loved it, right? I loved every second of that going on. And I wish they would use some momentum and change the game plan. So they have it, Cap. It's not hard to change it. They can do they call it gap scheme, pass pro, gap scheme, run plays, come downhill at people, jump guys at the line of scrimmage, get the ball out fast.
I think, guys, too, you got to fight the urge to drop back and throw it every down. I get it. You drafted a very talented quarterback 1st overall. You used the 8th or 9th pick on a wide receiver too. You added Gerald Everett, a pass catching receiver in the offseason, and a dual threat running back in the offseason as well. But sometimes you got to fight the urge to want to go back and throw it 45 times a game. And sometimes the best thing that you can do is actually pack it in and rely on the big guys and just start playing good old fashioned bully ball offense and try to take some pressure off your quarterback. And you just, look, again, I said it earlier, if you're expecting CJ Stroud may turn out to be one of the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks we've seen in the last 30 years. So don't try to kind of copy what they've done. Like, you know what, bring Caleb along in a path that is very comfortable with him and help him with the running game, especially when you're struggling to protect him. So I agree with Olin, like pack it in, run the football and try to take some of the pressure off of this young man who's just at this point, the last thing you want to see him do is start seeing ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
The hell is that?
It's another sponsor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
Delicious. Let me tell you, it's Caleb Williams winging it. Let's take a look at his numbers. Those are the best wings you're ever going to eat from our friends at Hooters, where we have our first remote show coming up on October the 8th. That's right. We will be out about in the community, so we hope people will come over and join us. I knew Olin was going to get a laugh at Tommy of me eating a wing here, but I want to get back to
Cap. You are one of a kind, man.
Yes.
You are just.
That's why you love me, baby.
I'm just hoping, guys. I'm just hoping that swimwear is not anything that is going to happen in terms of sponsorship. Because if Speedo joins the show, I'm leaving.
How much they paying?
This segment brought to you by Speedo.
Oh my goodness, man!
How much are they paying? I'm in.
Cap, you look amazing in Speedos, man.
Wow. So we saw Caleb's numbers: 37 passes. There were pressures on an overwhelming majority of the times he dropped back. So, Olin, how much do you hold Caleb responsible? Like the interception, he had Coleman Shelton right back pushed into his lap. He underthrows a guy. How much do you hold him responsible for the performance? Or he's a big boy, man. We got to hold him accountable. For
no doubt. Look, last week everyone said, it was bad, but he didn't make the big mistake. So you can't switch that this week, right? If there's pressure there, take the sack. That is the NFL. And look, Coleman Shelton, he's got to get his hands inside a little more, right? He's got to sit his hips down. He's got to bench the guy off of him. He's getting a little too. He's wrapping guys too much. Small centers, man. I know you can't wrap. You got to win the hand fight. You got to be inside. You got to be tight, and you got to be ready to take on that bull rush. Because if the like Mario Edwards, guys, is not someone is not a pocket collapser. He's a good football player, but he shouldn't be throwing your center over the quarterback, right? That's something you got to worry about there. So, I've been thrown over the quarterback before, but you got to get it corrected, right? You got to get it corrected because once you put that on film, the one time I put that on film, Richard Seymour threw me over the quarterback in Champaign, Illinois, right? And then I started to fight right after that, but that's just the way it goes. But he threw me over the quarterback in Champaign, Illinois, and Rich is one of the best ever. But as soon as you put that on film, guess what the other guys are doing?
Trying to
run right down. They're not making any moves. They're running right down your pipe, man, and they're going to do it, right? They got a shorter quarterback. Coleman's going to have to work on the fact that that's something that doesn't get solved. Like, you have to solve that yourself. You got to figure it out. You got to figure out how to hold the point on the offensive line, especially with a shorter quarterback. You are the apex of the pocket, and when they're gonna line guys up at 2 and 3. Watch, the Colts will do it. 2 and 3 technique. I mean, they line up over the guard. Wherever Coleman's sliding, they're gonna run right down his pipe, man. I know. I was a victim of this until I fixed it. Until you fix it as a smaller center, you will see it, because when they see you out there, what's the first thing they think? We're gonna run his ass over. Right, we'll run that small center back. I promise you're going to see it, and you just put it on film 2 weeks in a row. You're going to see it again this week.
I would ask you, Olin, have you been surprised or impressed or maybe disappointed? I don't know how to describe how a young quarterback has handled some of the pressure that he has seen over the course of the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think he's made the mistakes. I think when I'm watching his preseason, I know everybody was going crazy, Tom. I know you watched it the same way I watched it. I kind of what I expected. I didn't expect it to be this bad. I thought he would hit throws like he did of Keenan Allen. Now, Tevin Jenkins did get beat and was at his feet. I thought he'd hit the DeAndre Carter. I thought he would be a little more accurate from what I saw in preseason in college. That's the only thing that's kind of shocked me. I thought he'd make one play a game that would give us an extra set of downs. He did that last week on 3rd and 12. He did that the first week on the first 3rd down too. Seems like when they get past their script, when they get past what they expect, he struggles a little bit right now. I thought he'd get a little more comfortable in the 3rd and 4th quarter, make plays. But if you study the history of this league and you didn't think this was about to happen, you're not studying the NFL, right? You're not studying. I don't care who you got a receiver. I don't care who you got around him. Young quarterbacks, except for the guy we talked about, the unicorn, they struggle, man. It's a tough spot.
All right, we've got to take a timeout. Kevin Byard, 2-time All-Pro safety. He is a Chicago Bear, and we're thrilled to have him join us here on the show right after this.
Fall is just around the corner. Let the experts at Feldco get your home ready for the cooler temps ahead. Right now, buy one window, get one free. Plus, no interest for 3 years. It's the perfect time to make valuable upgrades to your home and save more money in the process. Our custom windows are built in the U.S. to the highest standards and made to withstand the harsh Midwest weather. Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for
Feldco Football Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco. For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4-FELDCO, Chicago's home renewal experts. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. 4 Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons. All right, our Chevy drive of the game is the 8-play, 70-yard Stroud and Nico Collins to finish it. 28-yard touchdown pass in the second quarter Bears only gave up 3 points in the second half of the game, but that touchdown is our Chevy Drive, Chicago.com drive of the game, and we welcome in two-time All-Pro.
That wasn't a great intro. I'm just
Yeah. Tell him, Kevin, man. What, Cap? We could have did that later, Cap. That was bullshit,
man,
Cap.
You were supposed to wait.
That was a bullshit move, man.
You were supposed to wait till I got off the show for that one.
We welcome in two-time
Kevin,
All-Pro.
me and Tom want to apologize, man. I don't know what that was.
It wasn't us, Kevin.
It's all good.
Two-time
It's all
All-Pro
good.
safety Kevin Byard. Kevin, thank you for taking time. So 2 games in, your defense looks outstanding. Give us your thoughts on the locker room, the defense, the vibe, the whole thing.
Yeah, man. I think obviously after 2 nights ago losing on Sunday night against a playoff team, they're going to be in the playoffs this year. A really good team. We were disappointed, but at the end of the day, I think we're motivated because obviously, if you look at the bigger scope of things, we still almost had a chance. We still had a chance to win the game on the last drive. And as bad as things has looked for the offense and things like that, to have a chance to win at the end of the game and pretty much in a playoff game in that type of way was pretty good. We have a lot of things to clean up as a defense. We needed to shore up some of those things in the run game earlier in the game. But one thing we did do, man, we didn't allow any of those big bombs and big throws over top of our heads. We wish we could have, forced a couple more turnovers. But the outlook is really good, man. We feel very motivated. And I just think we have a heightened sense of urgency going to this game against the Colts.
I was going to ask you, Kevin, as the elder statesman of this defense, is everybody inside that room treating you with the respect that you deserve? And are they listening to you? In all seriousness, you've accomplished a lot in this league. Are you fulfilling that role as a leader with some of the young guys in there?
Yeah, man, I feel like I'm doing, the best I can, obviously. But, being voted a captain my first year here was a huge honor to me. But, yeah, I'm just doing everything I can, being a leader, being as vocal as possible. I'm pretty much breaking it down pregame, postgame, and all these different things. So I'm doing all the necessary things vocally, but I try to continue to show that leadership by example on the practice field, in meetings, making sure I'm always locked in, making sure the young guys can see what a veteran, what a leader is supposed to do on a day-to-day basis. I think that's the most important thing because, like I said, man, this is a long season. You're going to go through ups and downs. That's just a reality situation. But we're 1-1. We could be 2-0. We could be 0-2. So it's good to be in the position we're in now, heading to this next game.
Kevin, you played for 2 guys. When I played center, I like to call it a boogeyman, Dick LeBeau and Dean Pease. And I just didn't want to get to 3rd down. But their adjustments and how good they were at what they did. Watching Coach Eberflus, man, just from the side, he looks like, the way he makes adjustments, it looks like he's an elite defensive coordinator. How would you compare him to the 2 great defense coordinators that you have played for?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I would hate to compare. I don't really like to do the comparisons. Just like you said, man, Dick LeBeau is a true legend. You even talk about the guy was a Hall of Fame player, just first and foremost. He's a Hall of Fame player, had over 60 interceptions at cornerback, which is incredible. The guy, I don't know if most of you guys know this, but Dick LeBeau didn't have a play call sheet. The guy literally used to whisper into his linebackers coach, and he would tell the linebackers coach to pretty much speak to the linebacker on the field. So he literally memorized all his whole entire playbook. It's crazy. Dean Pease, obviously a legendary coach as well. Honestly, bro, Matt has been locked in. And it's been a couple times, even in the last game, where we called a blitz on a 3rd down, and Tyreek Stevenson got a PBU. And I told him straight off the bat, I said, man, that was a great call. Like, he's really been dialing them up. And I know last year was a lot of talk from even some of the players was like, man, we play a lot of zone. We're in cover 2. We're doing this. And he's been rolling it. You know what I mean? We've been in zone. We've been in man. We've been in blitzes. We've been doing a lot of different things. So he's been giving a lot of these teams a lot of, different looks. So I'm pretty satisfied, pretty happy with the game plans and the play call he's been doing during the games.
What are your thoughts on Caleb Williams? Caleb is a young quarterback. He hasn't hit his stride yet. He's missed a couple deep throws, but everyone believes in his abilities. Give us your scouting report of your thoughts.
Yeah, man. Honestly, man, I think that the NFL world needs to, I wouldn't say give him some grace, but just needs to pump the brakes a little bit on the expectations, right? We all seen what Caleb did during his years at USC. Obviously, he was amazing. We've seen some of those special throws that he did in that Bengals preseason game. It's tough being a quarterback in this league. You know what I mean? Like, you look at some of the greatest quarterbacks to play this game. Peyton Manning, we all know he threw like 30 interceptions his rookie year, ended up being one of the greatest quarterbacks. Tom Brady didn't play his first year or so. Even look at Patrick Mahomes. He sat back behind Alex Smith his whole rookie year and did not play, and obviously got a chance to play his second year. Josh Allen. I played Josh Allen his rookie year. I didn't think he was going to be a good quarterback when I played him. That's just personally. I mean, he didn't look really that good. But I mean, and it's with all due respect, obviously a great quarterback, but it just goes to show that the year CJ Stroud had last year was incredible. That doesn't really happen. I think Justin Herbert had a really good year his rookie year. I think maybe Baker Mayfield had a solid year, but it just doesn't happen that often. You got to give this guy some time to, I just think, to calibrate. You know what I mean? Like, he's had a couple throws these first 2 games that if he connect on those throws, that's reminiscent of things that we've seen on film, we've seen at UFC. So I just think that, obviously with the offensive lineman, giving him a little bit more time for him to be able to really get into a rhythm, because we really haven't seen our offense get into a rhythm just yet. I think if we continue to try to run the ball, sticking to that, I think our team is built to run the ball pretty good. We have a lot of great receivers. We get Keenan Allen back, who's a guy who knows we can create separation in the pass game. Get this guy into a rhythm, and I think we'll start to see some of those special plays over again.
Kevin, you mentioned CJ Stroud. Is he a unicorn? Is he one of these guys that just maybe is so much better than everyone expected, especially at such a young age or a young stage of his career? And it's just not fair to compare other rookie quarterbacks to what CJ was able to accomplish last year.
Yeah, that's exactly what you just said. I mean, I think that most rookie quarterbacks struggle. The majority of them struggle their first year. That's why, the old way of doing things were to sit these guys and let them learn from a veteran. But, nowadays with, college programs and how these quarterbacks are developed in college, now the way is put them in early as possible. And you have to expect some of these struggles. And I understand that this league is a year-to-year league, and I'm a veteran myself. You have veteran players that we want to win right now. But I knew going into this season, which as much as I expect from him, I expect him to be great. I want him to be great. I also had to manage my expectations because I just been in this thing long enough to understand that it's very hard, and you want him to come out and fire on all cylinders, throwing for 300-400 yards, first couple of games in the season. But, if he doesn't, it's not the end of the world. At the end of the day, this is a long season. Me as a leader on the defense, I've been talking to the guys all off season, like, we're going to have to take it upon ourselves to play well early in the year to try to help this young guy to calibrate and get ready and understand that you're going to face some really good defenses. You're going to get a lot of looks that you've never seen, especially at the college level. Certain things you can't practice for. And I think he'll continue to get better. And but like you said, man, CJ Stroud, man, it's very hard to compare a lot of great quarterbacks to the year he had last year because, like you said, it's just very hard to play this quarterback.
What type of challenge is Anthony Richardson? Go ahead, Olin.
Oh, no, I was going to say from the outside looking in, it looks like that your secondary can be a difference-making secondary. It can be elite when you look at your 2 cornerbacks. Kyler Gordon reminds me a little bit of Rondé Barber, the way Rondé Barber used to come off that edge, the way he plays that nickel back position, you at safety with Brisker. What are you guys going through every game? It looks like you guys may be telling Coach Eberflus, like, look, play man, send guys. We got these guys on the back end. You don't got to worry about us. Is that the kind of presence that your secondary is trying to have where you can actually go out there and win the game yourselves?
Yeah, honestly, I tell Coach that call whatever you want to call. I don't really think it matters. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to play man, we can go there and we can play man and we can lock up everybody. If you want to play zone, which I love to play zone, you want to have eyes on the quarterback to get turnovers, we can do that. But we also have some really good – our front seven is really good too. You know what I mean? Like, you have obviously 2 of the best linebackers in the league.
Billings is my favorite, man. Billings is my favorite, Kevin. Man.
Listen.
That fumble he caused, taking on a double team, that's something, man. That's Tunsil too. That's Larry Tunsil.
Billings, because I think we were in the same draft class. But obviously when I got here and getting to know him and to kind of see the impact that he has on his team, I mean, talking about a guy that just takes up space. We were in the locker room joking one day, and it was like an argument against some of the defensive linemen because I ain't gonna lie, in practice, these guys run. Like, they run sideline to sideline. And Billings was arguing with Javon Dexter about who's faster, who's fastest. And Billings showed this clip in college when he was at Baylor, and he hawked this running back down like 30 yards down the field. It was crazy impressive. He said he hit 20 miles per hour. I don't believe it. But like you said, that guy, he's a very underrated defensive tackle, nose tackle in this league. He means a lot to our defense because, like you said, he's able to take up space, and he allows Tremaine and TJ to get downhill, and it's very impressive. But like I said, man, our defense, we feel like we can really keep our offense in games, and we can win games. You know, obviously you've seen that week 1 being able to get a pick 6 to win the game. So we're a very confident group, and we're definitely going to be confident going to this week against Anthony Richardson.
What type of a challenge is Anthony Richardson? Mobile, got a big arm. He had Alec Pierce in the first week. It's one of the best throws. In fact, I think there was an analyst on CBS, one of the maybe it was Bill Cowher, said it's the best throw I've ever seen. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was crazy. Obviously, we all seen that throw. I played against him last year when I was in Tennessee. He got injured that game. That was the game he broke his shoulder. So he only played a little bit, but even just watching him on film earlier in the year, it's always tough, man. The way the league is now, I think Kirk Cousins might be the last of a dying breed when you talk about quarterbacks that, you know, all these quarterbacks are dual threat now. They all have the threat to be able to run the ball and make plays, you know, with their feet. And Anthony Richardson is the prototypical guy that has the strong arm. He's very mobile. You have to account for him in the run game as well. So we're going to have to defend them all. I think first and foremost, when you go on the road, 2 things that you have to accomplish as a team. You have to be able to run the football, and then you have to be able to pack a strong defense. So I think for us, first and foremost, we have to stop the run. We all know Jonathan Taylor is one of the best backs in the league. We're going to have to make sure we contain him. We're going to make sure we have to limit those big plays that Anthony Richardson wants to get. We cannot allow Alex Pierce, who's very underrated speed guy who can really, you know, he's a 50-50 ball guy on the outside. We cannot let him take the top off the defense. And we got to create some turnovers, man. Like a big fumble recovery and fumble force by myself and Bill this last week. But we need at least 2 or 3 turnovers on the road, man. I think if we can do that, those 3 things on defense, we should win this game for sure.
Kevin, aside from football, what about our great city have you enjoyed most in your short time here?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, since I've been here, obviously it hasn't had the opportunity to get cold yet, but this weather has been great. I think summertime Chicago.
Let's wait.
Listen, summertime Chicago might be a number 1 city in the country. I think it's very hard to beat this weather, the people, the city. I've been able to, I think the week before the season started, me and my family was able to stay downtown for a little staycation, I would say. And, you know, me and my wife went out to dinner, went to this really good Italian restaurant. The food is incredible. I think you have to try very, very hard to get bad food in Chicago. You have to try very hard. Like, I don't care. You can go to a local spot. You can go somewhere downtown, steakhouse, whatever. All the food has been incredible. And the fan base has been, you know, it's been top tier. Like you said, and honestly, I didn't even realize that Chicago was the 3rd largest city in the country until I got here. I didn't even realize how big it was and how beautiful the city is. I mean, even leaving the stadium, I don't know which street it is once we leave the stadium, but we're kind of riding along Lake Michigan, and you see all those boats and stuff out there. It's just like, man, this is an incredible city. So me and my family, my kids, they're all up here too. So we've been loving the city so far.
Great. What is with the Anthony Rizzo jersey? I got to ask you.
So I'll be lying if I said it was my jersey. The guy that I'm renting a house from, he has some pretty cool memorabilia in here. He has he has the Anthony Rizzo jersey. I'm not sure how he got it. Could have been an auction. He could have got it personally signed from him. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's not mine though. I actually have to get to a Chicago Cubs game so I can get me a jersey myself.
Yeah, exactly. That's the team. Hey, man, we really appreciate you taking time for us. We'll have you back again during the season. And your show, Intercepted, is fantastic. How are you enjoying doing that?
Oh, it's been very fun. Something that I kind of even just during the off season, that's something that I kind of wanted to experiment with. And like I said, I'm appreciating the opportunity to be able to do this show, bringing on some really cool guests. I'm going to have another cool guest on next week. Not going to spill the beans just yet. But like I said, I've been having a lot of fun. I think the guests been having a lot of fun, just kind of opening up and relaxing and having great conversations.
Well, all the best. Good luck in Indy this week, and we appreciate you.
100%. Thank you, guys.
All right. There he is. Kevin Byard, 2-time first-team All-Pro safety with the Titans, now playing for the Chicago Bears. What a good dude, man. Just chill.
Good player, too. Like, you know what he does, too, is like, I'm not sure last year, Olin, you could speak to this maybe better than me. I don't think you could, you know, just play your safeties. Like you had to move them around. Now you can play them and drop them, you know, either guy, whether it's Brisker or it's Kevin, like they are so much more versatile than they were last year. And I think he's been a tremendous addition to that secondary.
Olin,
Yeah,
what was
with
your
the
take
addition,
on
with the addition of, go ahead. I'm sorry, Cap.
I was going to ask you, what was your take on the challenge? The first challenge I did not understand. I felt like Ray Charles was the guy up in the booth going, I think we should challenge. I didn't get that one. The Kyler Gordon one, it's a game-changing play. It's a pick six.
Oh, man, if Kyler makes that play, man.
Oh,
Wow.
man. But what was your take on those challenges?
I thought both of them, I think sometimes as a head coach, you got to watch getting caught up in this, like, I'm a player's coach culture thing. Every once in a while, you have to be like, no, I'm in charge here, right? Like, Lovey would let me go, and all of a sudden he said, big guy, settle down. I knew it was time to shut up, right? I'd go too far a lot of times and yell things and say things I shouldn't say, right? But every once in a while, you got to be the head guy, and you got to just say, Kyler, you dropped that. Like, it's pretty obvious, right? So I think maybe he got caught up in this whole, like, everyone loves each other, we feel good, the culture thing, and if my players want me to challenge it, I'm going to challenge it. And I think that hopefully Coach learned the lesson.
Tommy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Olin's spot on. As much as you want to be acknowledged and recognized and liked by your players, you're still the man in charge. And I thought that, if you watch the film, and I don't know, because I haven't seen, the wide angle look of it, like Kyler basically got out of position. And I don't know if he convinced Matt Eberflus to throw the flag, or Matt at that point was like, holy shit, Kyler's way out of position. If I don't throw the flag, that, the slot guy, I believe it was Stephon Diggs, may end up getting us. So, but I do believe that his decision to throw the flag was based on Kyler Gordon urging him to do it. Look, it's, I know on your show, Cap, that Coach said, hey, we've been good at this in the past. The truth of the matter is they're 2 of 7 since Matt took over in terms of challenges. And, that can be a really important component to a game, because you can't afford to lose a timeout deep in a game, in a close game, especially for a team that's expected to go somewhere. So something that they got to button up, and something that they got to, you got to look at. But Olin's right. You can't allow an enthusiastic guy to influence your decision, for sure.
All right, our look ahead at the Colts and Kevin Byard. It's brought to you by the Illinois Tollway. Kevin Byard did tell you that Jonathan Taylor is going to be a great challenge. He's one of the best in football. The Colts are desperate at 0-2, Olin. How would you game plan for the Indianapolis Colts with a mobile quarterback and a tremendous runner?
Well, game plan wise, and Kevin, I thought was interesting because he talked about how their defense and special teams thinks they can win games. And he's probably right with the last 2 games we watched. Okay, we were talking earlier about Shane Waldron and his game plans. You have to call plays accordingly and keep yourself in games the whole time and really complement your defense. But as far as the Colts go, I think it's pretty obvious, right? You run the ball and you stop the run and you call zone. So all eyes on Richardson for that quarterback run game that they've implemented with him at quarterback. But look, guys, in the middle of our defense, we talked about Billings, right? We talked about Javon Dexter. In the middle of the Colts offensive line is Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, and Will Fries. That's a matchup to watch in this game. I think that matchup decides the game, actually.
I would build on that as well, Olin, that first of all, you got to be really disciplined when you play a quarterback like this. He's going to throw the ball up for grabs. He threw 3 picks last weekend against the Green Bay Packers. As many elite plays as he makes, he's still a young quarterback that plays reckless at times. I think this defense is so good and so confident. They play close to the line of scrimmage. They know they're going to have to contain Jonathan Taylor. I think this team at times is susceptible to boots and to play action. And I think if you go back and look at getting outside the pocket a little bit, I think some of the biggest plays that C.J. Stroud made were either in the boot game or getting outside contained. So you got to be really, really, really disciplined. You've got to keep him confined and force him to beat you from the pocket. Because if you let him get on the edge, he can beat you with his feet. He can beat you with his arm. So just be really detailed and be really disciplined in what you're going to do, and know that there are going to be moments where he's going to throw it up for grabs. And I have a tremendous amount of confidence in this secondary that when the ball is in the air, they're so good at tracking the ball and so good at covering guys that they can turn mistakes by opposing quarterbacks into takeaways. And I think that this is a game where multiple takeaways are very possible.
Olin, in terms of Tommy, what is the strongest room on the team? Defensive backfield, linebackers, the defensive line, the quarterback room. What is the single best room on the team and the room you have the most concern about? I think I know what you'll say.
Yeah, through 2 games, it has to be the secondary, right? The secondary has been elite. I mean, we talked about, I know Nico Collins' numbers, but they kept him under 20 points. And then we talked about going into the game, you're worried about all the weapons the Texans had, right? For that unit, for that coach to say, look, we're gonna play man. We're gonna blitz the hell out of Stroud, and we're gonna that's how we're gonna try to change this game. And they almost made the right call with Kyler Gordon there on that pick, right? And it's the room I'm worried about. I'll go away from what is the obvious one, the tight ends. I don't really know what the plan is there. I don't really know what's going on with Everett and Cole Kmet and Mercedes Lewis, but I think they got to get that area straightened out just a little bit more. I think there's a few rooms on offense actually that you could go to.
Olin, I think it's such a great point with the tight ends. Week 1, everyone was bullshit. Everyone's upset that Cole's not getting the same number of snaps that Gerald Everett. My question to Shane Waldron would have been, why are your tight ends not more involved in the actual concepts of the passing game?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything they were asking, whether it was Everett or it was Cole, it was just like release routes, safety valves, pin the end of the line of scrimmage. None of these guys were really involved in anything down the field. I thought Cole, to be honest, and I like Cole. I think Cole's a really good inline tight end. I don't. If you ask Cole Kmet to play the position like George Kittle, I think you're asking him to do something he's not really equipped to do. I thought Cole struggled a little bit this past weekend with some of the blocking. Whatever they asked him to do, I thought there were moments where he could have been better. I'm with you 100%, Olin. I think you have to rely more on these tight ends in terms of getting them involved in the passing game, not just with flats, not just with screenplays. Ask them to threaten the middle of the field. Ask them to try and get a favorable matchup with a linebacker or a safety. And I think they need to get more involved. Cap, I think at the beginning of the season, I would have said, with a good deal of prejudice, the wide receiver room. But I think what we've seen is that secondary is pretty damn good. So that's where I would go. And the obvious is the offensive line. I hate to say that to Olin.
No, it's true.
But
you got to worry about them by watching them. And one thing I think about a lot, just from you guys being part of football, Cap, you coach a lot of basketball. I help coach now. I've coached football for a long time. You have to really get into games to learn your team, if that makes sense to you, and to learn actually what you have on your roster and how to use them. So as much as, give Caleb a break, trying to give Shane Waldron a little bit of a break here as he learns, maybe I should be running Khalil Herbert and Roshan more. Maybe I should use Cole like this. He just has to learn how to use. They put all these pieces in this building, look great from the outside, right? But they got to learn how to use it first. So I'm waiting to see these little adjustments as we go along here, where he starts to put guys in better position to make plays. I think we can see that Swift isn't a guy you run downhill 1,000 times, right? He's not a guy. He even cut that outside zone too early. Everybody wanted to fire Nate Davis, but it wasn't Nate's fault. It's just very interesting to me. I'm going to be watching these games to see how this comes along now that they're starting to have 2 games of film on themselves. What do they actually want to be? What does their identity actually become?
I think that's such a great point, and it's something that I mentioned. And in this city, I made this statement the other day, and people jump my ass for it. 3 things that are part of being a fan in Chicago: death, taxes, and bitching about the offensive coordinator. And as I said too, there will be a moment to storm the castle and get after Shane Waldron, and I'll be part of it when it's necessary. But I agree with what Olin is saying. Nothing's perfect right now, but he's learning how to use his guys and get the most out of them. Has it been perfect? No. Should there be improvement? Yes. If there's not improvement, will we be upset? Also, yes. I just think it's too early to come to any conclusions about a lot of different people in that building right now.
All right, it's prediction time. We get 2 keys from Olin because he holds his prediction for the weekend. Tommy and I step out and give our predictions. Tommy, what do you got, kid?
You know, I at the beginning of this year, I predicted that this would be a loss for the Bears because I like Shane Steichen. I think that there's some talent on that defense. I think it's a tough place to play. You could convince me that preseason prediction isn't going to come to fruition because of the injury to Buckner and because of, I think Latu may not be available in this game. This is a desperate Colts team. I do think that they're very well coached, at least on the offensive side of the ball. But with that said, I'm still going to stick with the fact that I think that this is a tough spot for the Bears. I was almost going to go to the other side.
You wanted to, man. I'm like you. I want to do it.
I convince myself for it, but there's nothing more dangerous, and Olin could tell you better than I, in the National Football League than a desperate football team. And I think at 0-2 at home, they find a way to win like just a horribly, ugly game, 17-16 or something like that.
Oh, gee, your keys.
Yeah, to Tom's point, man, I wonder, like, when you lose like that, a lot of times in the NFL, the difference is locked in focus in practice. Like, guys are actually focused. They're listening to what the coach is saying. Their details are there. All the cliches you hear, but they're hard to do for hours in a day. And that really is the difference between a lot of wins and losses in the NFL. And that's why a desperate team like the Colts are dangerous. And that is one of the keys. Like, you got to realize this team is desperate. You got to realize what level you're going to go play. They're going to play a playoff game this week. Yeah. They don't want to go 0-3. They're going to play a playoff level, and you got to go in there. You got to master intensity. You got to master attention to details. And we talked about earlier, the Chicago Bears offense is going to see a loaded box with blitzes. How do they handle that this week? Again, on the road with some noise. Like Houston, I could hear the Bears fans. Yeah. I don't know if you're going to hear that in Indianapolis. So we'll see how this game goes. But just the adjustments. They got film now. First time they're all on the road together. First time Shane Waldron was there. Let's see what the adjustments to the blitz and running the ball and keeping themselves on schedule. Big key to this game.
I've got the Bears winning the football game 24-17, and Caleb throws his first touchdown pass of his young NFL career.
Who?
He's going to hit DJ Moore for a score.
Well, DJ would love that because DJ's frustrated right now. I don't know from the film, but it looks quite apparent to me. And why not get your best player, your best offensive player more involved? So I hope you're right, Cap.
I hope I'm right, too. Gentlemen, by the way, the play of the game, I never announced that from this past week, was the Nico Collins touchdown pass. Could have been the pick six by Olin's guy from UW, Kyler Gordon, but we'll give it the Dr. Pepper play of the game to the Nico Collins touchdown.
Kev, how did you put that stuff on the screen right before Kevin came on, man?
I don't run the control. My friend Frank does. There's nothing I can do about it.
By the way, can I just suggest the defensive play of the game brought to you by Speedo was, in fact, the Billings forced fumble.
Now, Big Bill in a Speedo would be something also.
Bingo.
That would be amazing. That would be amazing. All right.
The defense travels, man. The defense travels on the ball. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's go get them. You guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Love doing this with you. A lot of laughs tonight, and I love that you guys hold me accountable. Have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, Cap. Thanks, Tom.
See you guys.
I'm David Kaplan. We'll see you next week.
Fall is just around the corner. Let the experts at Feldco get your home ready for the cooler temps ahead. Right now, buy one window, get one free. Plus, no interest for 3 years. It's the perfect time to make valuable upgrades to your home and save more money in the process. Our custom windows are built in the U.S. to the highest standards and made to withstand the harsh Midwest weather. Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Some days, you've got big things to care about. Like that. And that. Luckily, the Whirlpool Smart Range automatically updates itself with features like Air Fry. So you can worry less about keeping up with the latest tech and care more about keeping up with the latest trends. Say cheese. Everyday care, Whirlpool.
To see the full line of Whirlpool appliances, shop at Apt, pleasing people since 1936.
Feldco Football Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco. For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4FELDCO, Chicago's home renewal experts. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. Four Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons.